Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Unstoppable Marketer Podcast. With me, as always, is Mark Goldhart, my lovely co-host. Mark, what's up, dude?
Hey, what's up, man? Just vibing. Yeah.
Yeah, you're in a beanie today.
It's beanie season.
You're like, you got the thermal jogger beanie. You kind of got like the grunge
Yeah, it's beanie season.
beard.
Yeah, a little beard.
Grunge look going.
Yeah, I'm pretty grungy.
A little sexy, you know?
I was listening to some Smashing Pumpkins today, too.
That
so.
sounds really fitting for your outfit.
Yeah, it does,
I
actually.
was hoping Nirvana or something like that, but Smashing Pumpkins is good.
My hot take is that Smashing Pumpkins are actually better than Nirvana, but sorry.
I
people
disagree
hate me.
with that, but I like Smashing Pumpkins.
I like Nirvana,
Yeah.
too, but
Pearl Jam?
Pearl Jam's great.
Yeah.
But if you take Smashing Pumpkins' first 3 albums, you can literally listen to them like front to back.
How old are,
And there's
how old are you
enough
guys?
variety there.
35?
34.
Oh, 34. Dude, we're real. I was
yeah.
going to say, I feel like
Yeah.
we're probably pretty
We're
close.
vibing here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, so okay. Smashing Pumpkins, I dig it.
But dude, I feel so bad. I said this in the last podcast, but I feel so bad for kids now discovering music. Like they'll never get that moment of discovering a CD from their brother or like finding a CD at their friend's house and like putting it on and just getting their minds blown.
Going to like the was it FYEs?
The what?
Wasn't that the music store, FYE?
Oh, well, geez, what media play?
Dude, we had Virgin Music.
Virgin Music?
Virgin
Yeah.
was a big
Virgin
one.
Music
Virgin
Store.
You
Mega
California
Store,
boy?
Amoeba Music.
Yeah.
Yeah, California.
Yeah. Okay.
I
I
think
think
you
it was
had all the things.
I think it was FYE in the mall.
I think it was
For
media
your
play by
entertainment,
us.
yeah.
Yeah, for you
FYE,
entertainment.
yeah.
Yeah. And dude, I would go there, and I remember. You guys ever remember the band Powerman 5000? Does that sound familiar? Powerman 5000. We'll have to clip that. I can't even believe
if
it.
you said Andre 3000, I'd
Oh,
say,
of
okay.
course, yeah. But anyways, I used to as a 12-year-old, like get the CDs that had parental advisories, and we just beg moms who would walk in the store to buy them for us.
No way.
And some moms would do it. Can you believe
Dude,
that?
my first
Every
Trying to get
explicit
someone to buy a
album,
cigarette for you.
DMX. DMX
DMX?
was my first explicit album
Sick,
on
dude.
a tape.
X gonna
that my,
give it
that
to
my
you.
homie gave it to me.
Oh, that's amazing. Love it.
Oh, you got a little friend hookup. Little
Dude,
older
we
brother.
gotta
my
My
buddy
we gotta
Nico's, my
introduce
buddy
our
Nico.
guest.
Yeah, sorry. I totally,
Corey's just talking, and
I totally
everyone's
ruined
like,
it.
"Who is this majestic
Who is this
voice?"
man?
Well, let's introduce it, and then we can keep jamming here for a
let's do
second.
it.
So, we're super excited about this guest. His name is Kory Stevens. He is the founder of Taft, former CEO, recently sold Taft, father, entrepreneur, et cetera, fashion designer, whatever else you want to call him. He's here with us. Kory, what's up, dude? How are you?
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
Kind of a
Excited
week.
to be here.
Kind of a week. I'm not the best introducer of guests, but
It's tough.
yeah, you hear some podcasts are like Forbes 40 under 40, they do all the things, and
Dude, that stuff
know.
doesn't matter, man. I'm a friend.
yeah,
I'm a Utah.
you're a Utah entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm from, a migrant into
Yeah,
the
yeah.
state, but yeah, I'm here. I'm a friend, father, husband.
Yeah. Californian by
That's way
birth,
more
Utah
important.
by choice.
That's right.
There you go. Well, we're stoked to have you. So listen, I've got when we can, I try to go back to some roots that one of us have with our guest, and I have roots with you in a way, memories. Won't call them roots. Okay, so one, my little brother used to work for you, and has nothing. Nicky Pots and Pans. He has nothing but good things to say about you. So
He is with me every day because he gave me a keychain that I use every day. And so I think of your brother literally 10 times a day.
he is a very, very thoughtful human
I was
being.
gonna say that sentimental chap.
Yeah.
He's
He is-
amazing. I really, really love your brother. So I
Never
really
never
love
met
you too.
anybody who, it's fun. So I was I came, I was a CMO. I got brought in as a CMO and as a partner at Fawn Design. And this is going to sound super conceited, but I was hot snot. They're like, oh yeah, we got this, and I was feeling on top of the world, and that I was going to help this company and do all this, and then we brought Nick on maybe Mark was with us too. We brought Nick on probably a year and a half into it.
Yeah, I hired him.
Yeah. So Mark hired Nick, And it was like almost instantaneously everybody.
With no coercion, by the way. I wasn't like coerced into it.
Yeah.
There was no nepotism,
There was no nepotism.
but almost immediately everyone loved Nick
Yeah.
10 times more than they loved
He's
me.
electric, man.
Like I was the crump.
You
that
were
was
just
like,
drawn
I
to
was
him.
the grumpier guy, and everyone loved Nick.
He's a special guy.
Yeah, so he's a good guy. So that's one thing. The second thing is, I supported your Kickstarter campaign.
No way, dude.
I supported your Kickstarter campaign.
Wow.
The no sock look was.
How did you hear of it? Do you remember how it came across your
I
plate?
wish I had a good story for you.
Dude, because
on
at that point I was literally cold emailing every single one of my Facebook friends.
Yeah, I probably just.
But we weren't Facebook friends.
Are you connected with? No, that wouldn't be it.
Facebook friends.
I don't know who. I wish I had
well,
a better
thank
story
you,
for
man.
So
That's amazing. I literally almost brought you some today
I
because I was in my office. I was like, "What can I bring these dudes?" And I looked through the shirts. I'm like, they're all size small. I'm like, this is gonna work. I had some socks in this box, and I almost brought them. But like, they won't know what they are.
I actually still have pairs that are unopened.
Dude,
I bought
amazing,
a lot
man.
from you.
Well, thank you, man.
So-
You changed my life.
So supported the Kickstarter
Wait, so the
campaign.
Kickstarter was no
It was socks. It
No
was
show socks.
No show.
yeah.
That's how the business started. No show
Yeah.
socks.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
We didn't even say what Taft was. Taft, by the way, guys, is it's an awesome shoe company, luxury shoe company. What would you?
Yeah, I mean, pretty kind of expensive.
Yeah.
$300 plus shoes.
from both dress up to like little streetwear too.
European sneakery vibes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so I supported that, and then I remember like I got them, and there was nothing like it at the time, at least here.
Dude, I sprayed all of them with cologne, and we packaged them. And I bought a bunch of Curve cologne from like TJ Maxx. Sprayed all the socks and hoped, and no one ever once mentioned that they smelled like cologne. Like I think it was gone by the time they arrived. But yeah, dude, I freaking packed those up myself.
That's amazing. Okay, so support the Kickstarter. Number one, I have no idea how I heard about it. Number two, I caught word that you were doing a warehouse sale in Bluffdale.
Yeah, dude.
Before Bluffdale, there was anything over in
Just
Bluffdale.
warehouses, yeah.
Yeah. And I went and that I probably bought, $100
Dude,
worth of
'cause
socks
we would-
in Bluffdale. And it
Are
was,
there houses in Bluffdale now?
Yeah.
remember that's where I built my house.
People
Yeah.
did, yeah.
I ended up
that's
building
what
like
you-
right next our first house. We ended up building like right next to your
Yeah,
house.
dude. Now it's crazy, but that was
Yeah.
where our first warehouse was.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Bluffdale.
Yeah. That's Bluffdale by
Just
the prison.
like-
Sorry, I'm from like Salt Lake City, so we just kind of consider everything south, like Sandy.
Yeah.
It's like Sandy.
It's like
That's how it works.
West
Bluff?
Sandy.
Yeah, like
west of the
Bluffdale.
freeway.
What is Bluffdale?
I would tell people West Draper.
It's like north of
When
the
they were like,
old
"Where do you live?"
prison.
I'm like,
What?
West-
It sounds
West
a little more
Draper.
dignified.
I live
Yeah.
West Draper, not Bluffdale.
Dude, that's that Winnie the Pooh meme right there. Have you seen that?
No.
Where he's like slouched on a couch and it's like, you'd say like Bluffdale and then it's him in a tuxedo.
Oh, yeah. West Draper. Yeah.
West Draper. Oh. So, anyways, yeah. So then I sat in line for
amazing.
probably 3 hours to get socks, and
But the prices were
Oh, it
crazy.
was nuts. I
So
probably
it
for
was
100. I mean,
worth-
imagine what I got for $100 worth.
Yeah,
of socks.
no, you would have cleaned us out, man.
Yeah, I think I still have those socks.
Wait, so how long was it just socks?
It was just socks. 2014 was the Kickstarter campaign, and then it was just socks
Whoa.
until November 2015. So a little over a year.
It's a long time ago.
Dude, you got okay. Listen, we don't have to spend a ton of time on your founder story, but
Yeah.
what I want to know is, I want to hear the story, the transition story. What made the socks take off,
Dude.
and then how that
Okay.
turned into shoes?
So-
because this is, I think this is a good time.
I'll try to go really fast
You're
because
good.
it's a
You're good,
long
man.
story.
You're good.
but- So my wife and I, we graduated from college, and I didn't get a job offer. So we were in Europe. I took all our scholarship money. I'm like,
So what did you study?
I studied linguistics and business management,
Nice.
and I wanted to do consulting, but Bain, BCG, McKinsey hire like one guy
Yeah.
or one student a year, whatever. And so I didn't get a job offer. Then I wanted to work for like FIFA, US Youth Soccer.
Yeah.
But then I saw the pay. It was like $30K in Frisco, Texas. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
And why were you in Europe?
So we, instead of like, we found out my wife was pregnant, and we had some scholarship money saved up from people. We were both on scholarship at BYU. And so we took it and we went to Europe for 6 weeks.
Okay.
And while there, we saw amazing shoes, but everyone was with the sockless look. And I wore that like my whole life, right? Like
yeah.
Sperry's, Jack Purcell's. I was like taking my mom's, we called them
Yeah.
peds.
Yeah.
They're like sheer, your toenails rip right through them. But I
did
was
the same
rocking
thing as a
those.
kids, yeah.
But then if I'd ever have to take my shoes off, dude, I'd be so embarrassed.
Yeah.
And so we go on this trip. Amazing European shoes. We're in Italy, Croatia, Rome, Paris, France, And we have this idea, let's make men's no-show socks that like stay up. We'll put some cool like silicone on the heel, but we'll make like masculine patterns. We'll make them thicker. And so we get back from that trip. My net ID at BYU still works. And so I'm learning Illustrator on BYU's dime, essentially. I'm still going into the library, signing up for classes and learning how to design socks. And then we launch a Kickstarter campaign like 6 months later. And we fund almost 50 grand. And it's, you were a part of that. That's freaking amazing. I did not know that. Go. That's cool. There's not that many people I meet.
$20 of that 50K was me, baby.
Yeah, dude. And
in 2014, that was like the heyday of Kickstarter, right?
Yeah, Indiegogo and Kickstarter.
It was like the only way to go.
Yeah.
And so then this is also the heyday of growing an Instagram account. And so, dude, we make an Instagram account. We go from 0 to like 100K in, I don't know, 6 months.
14 minutes.
Because I'm taking like amazing pictures.
Probably felt like 14 minutes.
Yeah, for real. I'm taking like pictures of shoes with the socks.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to like all the Nordstrom racks. I'm going home to Burbank. I'm going all the Nordstrom racks I can find. If I'm ever out of town, I go to the Nordstrom rack, buy any cool shoes I can find, bring them back, photograph them with the socks, and return them. Because Nordstrom rack is like, no questions asked, 90 days. Yeah. And so all of a sudden we're growing a pretty big Instagram account that's essentially shoes. Yeah. And we're trying to sell socks and everyone's like, I want the shoes. We're like, buy the socks. So eventually, a year later.
Because you can't see the socks, right?
Yeah, exactly. You can't see them. So it's like, and dude, there is some really weird people on Instagram, like foot people, like weird people. And so we were getting a lot of weird interest and we're like, okay, no more feet pics, no more sock pics.
Like killed OnlyFans.
It's like
killed
super weird. Yeah.
People were like, people.
Yeah. And so it's like, okay, we can't take pictures of just the socks and the feet.
Yeah.
Because people are super weird. It was weird. Like me and my wife, young baby, and we're dealing with these weird DMs. We're like, okay.
Oh, God.
So it's just shoes.
Give us more fingernail. Give us more toenail.
Just
a little more
shoes.
Toenail. Yeah.
And we're taking amazing shoe pictures for Instagram. Yeah. And so people think we're a shoe company. And we were getting inbound messages from shoe factories that are like, hey, we see you're a shoe company. We want to produce for you. We're a sock company. But eventually we're like, hey, if we want to do this, if we want to go big with this, we need to sell something that doesn't cost $10.
Yeah.
What about selling shoes that cost $200? If we want to go from hundreds of thousands in revenue to millions, we need to change it up a little bit. And
I have a question really quick. Did you, I just want to see if this lines up with the progression of your company.
Yeah.
You're selling no-show socks, but in order to show a no-show sock, you can't have shoes on, right?
Right. And so we're just showing the look.
But by showing the feet, you got weirdos.
Yes.
So you kind of wanted to only post pictures with shoes.
Yeah, and we'd always make sure that there were, either they'd be a shoe with a sock rolled up in like the
sure,
or someone wearing them showing ankle so you can get the look.
And probably at that time they didn't have the carousel swipe where you could maybe have like a shot of the shoe and then the no-show
No, dude,
sock.
a single picture. Yeah.
And so was it kind of these like naturally occurring events that pushed you into this position where you're like, all we're showing is shoes now, and now we got to just start selling shoes?
Basically, because
we don't want to
we're talking at this point, when we kind of had to make this decision, we're talking hundreds of thousands of followers.
Yeah.
And we look like a shoe company.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like, and we post a picture and everyone's like, where can I get those? And I can't direct them to Orem, Utah, Nordstrom Rack.
Sure.
And so eventually we realized there's this need for unique men's shoes because our shoes are super polarizing.
Yeah.
Like not everyone likes them. But no one knows where to get unique shoes. Mm-hmm. And so eventually we're like, we will be the source for unique shoes. And we were using these pictures as a way to test what resonates with our audience. And it was always the crazy unique stuff that you couldn't find. Yeah. The stuff in Nordstrom Rack, what eventually filters out is really the stuff that there's a million pairs that, it's like the basic millions of pairs stuff, or the crazy stuff that never sells.
Yeah.
And so I was grabbing the crazy stuff that never sells, putting it on Instagram, and I built this community of people that do like the crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And that's eventually what the business ended up being. So then my wife and I make this decision. We're like, let's pursue it. So from my second child
it's funny
is born.
that you say that because a lot of founders don't have the, I didn't say a lot. That's a generalization. Some founders have a hard time accepting who they actually are as a company
and who they're not.
Dude, this was
because I looked at your shoes and I
want to be. Yeah.
I remember looking at them and saying, like, it's just not my
Totally.
It's just not
dude.
my style.
Totally.
Yeah.
But I can see why other people like
Yeah.
it. Like, it's not me judging other people's styles. It's just like, oh,
Yeah,
like,
no,
that's
it's,
like
it's
just
a specific
little
person we're going after.
That's not my style particularly,
Yeah.
but that's why you were successful, is because you knew what your
Not
style
yours,
was.
but very much Nick's.
Very much.
Yeah,
Nick's.
Nick
very
is
much
into
Nick.
it.
Yes,
Yeah,
like Nick
Nick
was
is
way
into
into
it. And dude, to be honest, like I stopped designing product that I liked a long time ago.
Yeah.
The stuff that I like doesn't sell.
Yeah.
The polarizing, crazy stuff that draws attention is the stuff that ended up selling, and that's what we basically became a shoe company of really unique designs. So, dude, we make some shoes. I go to Spain. I book a plane ticket from the hospital room when my second daughter was born. We thought she'd have to be delivered via C-section. She was delivered without a C-section, and so I was like, okay, I can book flights for like 2 weeks from now. We'll be okay. I go to Spain, design a collection, come home. I get the shoe samples like a month later.
Yeah.
And then, dude, that holiday season, this is November 2015, my wife and I had no money. Like, I'm talking like no money for rent. And so I post kind of quietly, I put an item up on the site called the sock grab bag, the no-show sock grab bag.
Hey, can I pause?
Yeah.
Were you doing anything besides this?
Yeah, dude. So I was buying and selling board games
Okay.
on Amazon.
Nice.
So like just basic arbitrage, trying to make a few cents on board games.
Okay.
And then I was also assisting my friend as a fly fishing guide.
Nice.
So he was the expert fly fisher, and I could teach the basics, but I was just like the pack mule carrying lunch and hiking through the woods. So I was making like $20 or $40 a day doing an outing fly fishing, trying to sell board games and sell socks. I mean, our first year of socks, we did 117K.
That's impressive for socks.
Which is dope.
Year
which
one.
is it's super dope.
$10?
But remember, this is 50K of that's a Kickstarter.
Yeah. That's
And
a good point.
so post-kick, we spent all the Kickstarter money on making socks.
Sure.
And then I'm living off of not much.
Got it. Yep.
So then we make this no-show sock grab. It's 10 pairs for $20.
Yeah.
And I made it, I listed it from church. Like I had the Shopify app and I built this product.
Yeah.
I uploaded the pictures and $10 for $20 because I'm like, how can we even afford this holiday season? Like we can't pay rent.
Sure.
And dude, that night, and I didn't post it on Instagram because I'm like, this would be brand dilutive. These things I'm reading about, right? It's like you don't want to harm your brand, no discounting, you know. But I'm like, I gotta feed my wife and my children.
Yeah.
And dude, that night, someone posts on Reddit, yo, this sock company I like, it's 10 pairs for $20. Pick them up, great steal. And dude, orders started pouring in. And I mean hundreds and thousands of orders.
I'm almost confident that I was one of those orders.
Thousands of orders. Were you on Reddit like 2015?
No, I wasn't, but I'm pretty
I mean,
sure
this
I
thing
did.
spread,
I'm pretty
dude.
sure
This thing spread.
I participated in this.
So this
grab bag.
This made it to the top item in Frugal Male Fashion, which is a pretty big subreddit on Reddit. Frugal Male Fashion, 10 pairs for $20, and people are hammering it. And so that night, I don't even know what Reddit is, but the Shopify app is like Reddit.com, like the source of 100,000 visitors.
traffic,
You know,
yeah.
I'm like, what is this? So I go to it. I make an account and I start responding to every single comment.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, thank you so much. I mean, they changed my life.
Right.
And I'm like, thank you. It's been a rough year, whatever.
Yeah.
And then that story gets picked up by Best Of subreddit, which, are you guys on Reddit much? Like Best Of is essentially,
I know it enough to know what you're talking
Reddit
about.
curates the best things that are happening on Reddit and like amplify them to the homepage essentially. And so this gets picked up. It's like Redditor lists sock deal, owner of sock company shows up to show his gratitude. And that makes it to the homepage of Reddit.
Yeah.
And so we have,
So sales get even bigger.
oh dude, it went, because at the time I had, the Shopify app has that cha-ching.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
At the time, I mean, that's like a hit of dopamine
yeah.
as a young entrepreneur. And it was literally like my phone's audio couldn't keep up with it.
Right.
Like it was like the home screen was just, I could do this for minutes and I wouldn't hit the bottom. And so then I had these samples of these shoes we run out of socks. That Sunday, I go to the warehouse in Bluffdale.
Yeah.
Buy your first home.
That's right.
And we're literally, my wife and I and my baby strapped to our chests are counting the socks because we're like, we never thought there was an end to supply. There were so many, and we sell so few
Right.
that we didn't even track our inventory at the time.
Right.
But when you
no
have
need to.
thousands of orders, that each order is 10 pairs.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're like, crap. So we spend all Sunday counting the inventory. We're like, we got to shut it off.
Yeah.
But on Reddit, I'm like, hey, I have these shoe samples. Does anyone want to see them? Like, they're from Spain. I set some arbitrary price. They were $189 at the time.
Yeah.
And people are like, I'd buy them. Those are sick. This is the Jack boot, which is still a bestseller.
I own a pair.
That night.
Oh, do you?
I do.
Yeah, you do.
Brown.
Yeah, Nick has a lot too.
Yeah.
I'm sure Nick does.
Nick does have a lot.
Yeah, he's got a lot.
Can we do an over under on how many pairs Nick has right now?
Yeah. Do you want me to
set it?
Do you want me to set it?
I'd set it at 22. Dude, because we used to give them away for free.
Yeah. I bet that he's probably. I bet he would know more than I would actually. I bet that 22 is probably right.
You'd set it at 22?
I'd set it at 22 and make you guys decide over under 22.
I'm gonna go over.
Oh, you are?
Dude, we gave them away for free, dude.
I was going to go over too.
And he's got a. I just remember him telling me he's like, I just happen to have the shoe size that like we generally have like a lot of.
Mm-hmm. If you're like a 9 or a 10, and you worked at Taft,
and he's a 10, yeah,
you got a lot.
Yeah,
you could, because we took all the seconds, all the defective pairs or all the returned pairs, we'd put them all in the office, we'd set a draft order, and we'd go until they were all gone. And so people would be on the phones with dad, brother, boyfriend, friend, whoever, and they're drafting. It's like being on the clock for real. You'd have 30 seconds. It was stressful.
I don't think I ever got any, but I was a part of it.
We have to set the over under higher then. You got to set it like,
but
the line's got to be like 33.
I don't know though, because I actually don't know. I don't know.
I think 22
maybe it was
a
a
number.
weak number.
I really do think that's a pretty good
I'd
number.
go over 2 though. That's no fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Nick, let
right.
us know.
let's stop talking about Nick, I guess.
So that night we list the shoes. I make product. I have a picture of me at my sister's house. The moment I'm doing it, I have a Coke can and my laptop.
Yeah.
Over Sunday dinner, I list them live on Shopify, and we sold over 400 pairs that night.
Whoa.
Pre-order. I said they'd be here in January.
Yeah.
This is November 17th, 2015.
Were they there in January?
They were there in January.
Whoa, nice.
Yeah. Amazing, right?
That's awesome.
And
that is.
We set a price of $189, too low, because at the time I had no idea what
They were going to cost you.
dude, customs, importing,
Yeah.
shipping, like I knew nothing. And so the price was too low, but it worked out. And the products, that's why they're all named after, the business is named after my son. All the shoes are named after family members,
Nice.
friends, characters in movies.
Sure.
But the Jack boot, I was at Jack's house. Jack is my nephew.
Nice.
And so Troy is my nephew. Like
Yeah.
it's all
How were the quality? Like, did you have people
dude,
anybody
they're
returning
as
them?
good as they are today.
Serious?
Yeah.
That is
The factory's freaking amazing.
That's
man.
awesome.
We lucked out. They inbound messaged me, "Hey, we're a shoe factory. Let us make your shoes." And I'm like, "We're a sock company." But
yeah.
okay, interesting. I actually do like some of the stuff
Yeah.
you sent me. I spoke Spanish. I booked a flight to Spain.
Yeah.
I went to the factory. They took, dude, I'm a nobody.
yeah.
But they see hundreds of thousands of Instagram followers and they think, "Oh, this guy's legit."
Well, and 2014 was also the heyday. It was very challenging to find manufacturers.
Oh, dude,
harder to find
totally.
manufacturers. Right? They found you. And so it was the heyday in the sense that like your competition when it came to finding a manufacturer was like slim.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah. Especially this is small family-owned factory in a small
Yeah.
town in Spain. So it's exactly what we needed, and we still use them today. They're still our main supplier.
That is the coolest thing.
And they're like family to me, man.
Yeah.
I love them with all my heart.
That's amazing, dude.
No question. I think a lot of founders and entrepreneurs are going to have this question for you. What was the margin on that, right? So you're getting these imported from Europe. A lot of people are going to Asia.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's got to be some kind of
For
differential
sure. It's
there.
expensive, yeah.
So when you said it was too cheap,
Dude, those same boots
were
cost
you even able to make
$275.
any money off of that
No.
initial pre-order?
But those boots now cost $275, to give you an idea.
okay.
To make?
No. It's retail.
To sell.
So I listed it for $189,
Yeah.
almost $100 below what they are now.
Yeah.
So that kind of shows you that
For sure.
I was pretty off
Yeah.
after factoring in
Yeah.
customs and shipping and fulfillment and
Totally.
all that stuff. I had
What
no
made you
idea.
decide to go to Spain versus Asia like most other people normally would?
Dude, I mean, I had sampled in China.
Big
I had
Bob Dylan fan.
I had a friend
Sounds
that
about
lived
right.
in China and kind of brokered stuff. And so I sampled shoes before with him. They just weren't the quality we needed.
Sure.
There's part of it is just pure coincidence. Like they messaged me. I liked their style. They were willing to work with me. So there's just like that, that natural feel to it. But also, honestly, I didn't trust myself to overcome. Like when you say that shoes are made in Spain, there's automatically things that go into your mind around quality.
Totally. Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
There's a little more elevation to it.
craftsmanship,
Yeah.
luxury. Like you already do that. You're on your own.
Yeah.
And I didn't trust myself as a marketer at that time to
articulate
to
that.
have to educate people on that.
Yeah.
That was a freebie that the location of manufacturing gave me.
Did you think of that yourself, or did that happen and then you're like, oh,
No,
hindsight, this is pretty cool.
that's hindsight because
That's awesome,
I
though.
wasn't that savvy. Now
Sure.
it's over the years it's kind of become the way I tell the story.
Totally.
But no, I was not. It was literally like I speak Spanish.
Yeah.
They'll work with me and they're already in my DMs.
Amazing.
Like I don't have to go board a flight to Asia and go find, I've lived in Cambodia, which is a major manufacturing hub for the world. It's like you go to China and China goes to Cambodia.
Yep.
And I didn't even feel comfortable trying to go find manufacturers where I've lived before,
Sure. Yeah,
so
yeah.
it was just a coincidence. It was providence. It was destiny in some ways. Cause I mean, it's just amazing. And these people, they gave me a chance and I owe everything to them.
So how much money did you end up doing? Like how in revenue? I want to know that sock grab bag. Do you have an idea of how much you ended up doing?
Yeah, we did 57,000
Amazing
in
like
revenue,
in like
$20
a
chunks,
day?
right? Like a day and a half.
That's awesome. Okay. All right.
Paid
So
rent.
and then year one. What does year one look like when you start selling shoes?
Dude, we go from
revenue.
117K.
Okay.
Year one, we do 1.7. Year one of shoes,
The moment you introduce shoes.
we do 1.7.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So cool.
very profitable 1.7.
Awesome. Okay. And then how long did it, just because we're talking numbers.
Yeah.
But what was the scaling economics
Yeah.
there? Because if you weren't selling them for enough money at the time,
Well,
were you just profiting off of the Instagram booms, or there's just so much organic you didn't have to worry about paying for ads at that time?
yeah, so it was the marketing budget was essentially zero. All I had to do was, the only marketing we did was paid posts on Instagram.
Okay.
And so we did 1.7 that year, and bottom line was 390, which isn't crazy profitable in some industries. But for me, when I got hit with that tax bill,
I'd say it's pretty good.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
And now, dude, that profit margin would be a dream
Mm-hmm.
at the scale, that we had. Like that wasn't always the case. But that first year, 1.7, 390K. And then I get hit with this huge tax bill that I had. I was like, we're a small business, taxes, whatever. But yeah, we had to pay
Yeah, worked.
that was painful. I got really worked and I learned, but then the next year we went to 5.7. So 1.7 to 5.7.
Oh my gosh.
That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. And still,
How many more products or lines did you release?
we launched, a lot of shoes at that point. We probably had 20 different shoes. That first year,
Jack, year one of shoes, you had the Jack boot.
Jack, Luca, Troy.
Those were the three you released within 1 year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
that
the
takes
next
you to
year you
1.7.
added on 20 more, 17 more.
I mean, I'm talking colorways too, though. So,
Variants.
Jack, variants, yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, we introduced the Rome boot, we introduced the Viking boot, and this is still when I'm designing stuff that I actually really like.
Yeah.
Right. Like my style was kind of, I thought it was cool, and I was designing what I liked, and so yeah, we probably went to 20 different shoes. We had like a real collection page at that point. It wasn't like a sock company selling a couple shoes.
Yeah.
Like if you look at Ben right now and Collar, it's a shirt company selling some shoes, right?
Yeah.
We were a sock company selling some shoes. The next year it was like, we are a sock company. We are a shoe company. Socks are off the site.
Yeah.
We are just a shoe company.
Yeah.
We really owned it, and we went from 1.7 to 5.7.
I was disappointed in the sock being gone.
Were you?
Dude, yeah.
I was.
Dude, we never made another run.
Yeah.
We made the Kickstarter run, and we lived off of it for 2 years.
I was too poor to buy your shoes. Like I remember it.
Yeah, I mean, they
was too
were,
poor at the
dude,
time to buy the
I remember
shoes,
thinking
but I could buy the socks.
189, dude, going from 10 pairs for $20.
Yeah.
This thing that costs $10 retail to asking $200 for a pair of shoes. I mean, dude, I was not our customer.
Sure.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
I was making $20 a day fly fishing, right?
Yeah.
I was not our customer.
That sounds like a dream, though.
I mean, now it's the dream for sure.
I would absolutely.
Now it's the dream. I didn't appreciate it enough. I don't feel.
Okay. So there are revenue rampings or there are revenue milestones that every founder looks at as like this is what I want to get to. And everyone has a challenge, right? So like the first one is like, how do I make my first 6 figures? Right. That's a revenue milestone. Okay, you hit this one. The second one is how do I make my first $1 million?
Okay.
Right. There's argument that the third one can be around like this, like 5 million.
But
I'm going to call it 10. Like it's getting up to that 10 million. I've found that like that's where a lot of people really, really struggle is to the 10 million. What took you from, because you said you were like 115 grand or 16 grand.
Yeah, 117, 1.7, 5.7, 10.8.
What took you to 10 million from that 5 million year?
Dude, we were doing 5.7. That 5.7 year was me, my wife, an office the size of this podcast studio, and one part-time customer service rep from BYU.
And then were you guys 3PLing?
3PL. Dude, you've been there. Where we had that warehouse sale was our 3PL.
Nice.
And so then what took us to 10.8? Dude, I mean, some of it honestly is just pure luck.
Okay.
Like that is a time where...
How dare you?
I know. You want like tactical, tangible things.
No, I actually appreciate that because there is an element of luck,
dude,
in life, and I think people are.
Dude, you know how I built this?
Recognize that,
Guy Raz, how I built this podcast?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of each episode, he's like, "Hey, look what you built. Is it luck? Is it hard work?" Dude, if I were on that podcast, I would say it is 100% luck. I'm serious because think of the hardest working people you know. They probably make below minimum wage.
Sure.
You know, my parents, I have seen them my whole life wake up well before it is light outside, work until way after sunset, sleep.
What did your parents do?
My dad he did craft service in the movies. So he'd be, call time at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
He'd have to have breakfast ready. It was like, he works insanely hard.
Yeah.
My mom currently, she manages a cafeteria.
Yeah.
Works crazy hours. And they've never had real wealth.
Sure.
And I think about, people that come to help me at my house. They work harder than any of us.
Yeah.
And they'll never have what we have. And so for me, I beg to be on that podcast someday because I just feel like, yes, absolutely. Hard work puts you in the situations where you can get lucky. Totally. Like I believe that.
Right.
But I think we all work. I think living at all is hard work.
Sure.
I think getting out of bed is hard work. That's the hardest work I do all day.
Yeah.
And for me, I just think like I like to acknowledge the element of luck.
Yeah.
Because I got totally lucky. I never set out to start a business. I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is freaking uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The lack of security, the instability, the unpredictability. For me, my personality wants the opposite.
Totally.
And all of a sudden I found myself freaking designing socks and selling shoes. And I was reacting to things that were happening and I'm launching new products because that's kind of what was asked of me. And I'm, and I just think, man, I am so lucky. And the further I get from it, the more luck I can see.
Sure.
Like, man, we're so lucky.
Yeah.
And any successful business is lucky.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a minimum level of strategy and thought and intelligence and hard work, of course. But dude, the most amazing businesses out there never make it past 10 million.
Or even 1 million.
Or even they never even get off the ground, right? Like,
yeah, for sure.
Great ideas sound stupid at the beginning. And the market doesn't always reward that. Eventually, sometimes you can push through that, right? But like, I just think Taft was the result of so much luck and so much love to our customers, to our teammates, to our suppliers. But man, dude, you can't deny the luck in our story. Sorry, I'm like totally
I love it.
Well, there's randomized. I mean, that's the thing though. There's randomized luck.
Yeah.
Right. There's random
totally.
luck.
There's
and then
like
there's
lots of
positioned luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not that everything was luck, but it is important to recognize that even positioned luck is still luck at some times. Like,
Yeah.
For example, the Instagram boom was such a lucky time to be starting a business.
Oh yeah.
Totally.
We've talked with so many founders in this state that were like, I just wanted to do this one thing. And then I was like left with this huge business and overwhelmed and like hating my life because I don't want, and a lot of them have said like they don't want to sound like ungrateful, but it's not that they set out to make a big business. That's not what they were trying to do. It's just Instagram at the time.
Happens, dude.
Yeah.
Just
Like all ships go with like rising tides, right? It's just like took them all up and they're like,
Right.
now I've got a $5 million business and I'm drowning in work and I don't know what to do. And I thought this was just going to be a fun, like part-time job. And now
I thought I was gonna be a mom doing something on the side, or something like that,
or like
Yeah.
a dad, like now who's, I wanted like a nice secure job and I'm in this job and like, how do you balance it?
Yeah.
So it's funny that you say that because like, that's kind of lucky if you decided at the time, oh, I'll just make a bag or a shoe or whatever product and throw it on Instagram. And now I'm a successful business.
Yeah.
Like you said, he was 2-3 people with a $5 million business. Like that's literally overnight success.
Yeah.
it really was, and it was not intentional.
Yeah.
And we never ever thought of what it would become.
Yeah.
I want to ask you when you got to the $10 million mark, because I'm trying to, I'm making some assumptions here from what you've said. And I want you to tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
And then give your side.
Okay.
Because you said, a lot of it's luck to get to that 10 million. But what you said at the beginning of the podcast resonates, because you said, I stopped making things that I really resonated and just focused on serving the customers and what they wanted. Mm-hmm. How much did that help you go from 5 to 10 million at the time? Like, is this part of the transition of you like only trying to do what you wanted and trying to more do what your customers wanted?
I think that when I started, I thought that the business model was the magic. Like I thought, okay, this D2C, cut out the middleman, no wholesale markup. Like that story is what people are gonna latch onto.
Yeah.
But I think I realized that inflection point was that the designing of the shoe, like the actual shoe designs, were the magic to Taft.
Totally.
And I wasn't expecting that. I thought, this is when the D2C, this is like the D2C heyday, right?
Yeah,
like it was like, tell this D2C story, show a bar graph where like one has a wholesale markup, one doesn't.
Yeah.
And that's the magic. People just are eating anything up that's D2C. But then I realized two things. One is the stuff I can't design for me. I need to design for the customers.
Yeah.
And we had hundreds of thousands of people to give me litmus tests on what's working. And so one, I stopped designing the stuff that I like.
Yeah.
Because it was clear the stuff I like doesn't sell.
Yeah.
I buy it from other brands that are very successful at it, but like the plain brown stuff that I like to wear wasn't working. And then this story of realizing that, man, the design, that's what I'm uniquely providing to Taft.
Right.
It's not the business model. It's the actual shoe design. That's what people can't find anywhere else.
Yeah.
Because at this time you had Jack Irwin, you had Greats. I don't know if you remember Jack Irwin, but Jack Irwin was kind of the first mover, and they raised a ton of money. They had huge valuations, and so I'm like, oh, D2C works, and they sell plain brown and plain black boring shoes out of New York.
But you're not seeing the cost per acquisition on those.
No,
and all that kind of stuff,
It's
right?
like, and then that business went away overnight.
Yeah.
But just realizing that, man, the product was the magic and not the D2C business structure.
It's the product and it's the community in which you sell it
Oh,
to,
well, dude,
right?
I mean, if you want to talk about like stuff I've learned, I mean, yeah, dude. Like,
Dude, that's like one of the, we've interviewed a ton of founders. We've probably, that's a relative thing to say. So to us, it seems like a lot, but it probably isn't. We've probably interviewed like maybe 50 to 60 founders in the last
Probably about 50.
18 months.
dude, that's a lot.
I would think that's a lot,
That's a
but
lot.
you probably like some people are like that is nothing,
No, dude,
right?
that's a
You know?
lot. That's a lot.
And the most successful people who come on, that is something that that is a trend that it continues to arise in what they may not say it clearly the way you just said it. Another podcast guest we had on was Chris Hall from Bruce Bolt. He said the exact same thing. It's like product and the community in which you sell to. Like that is the magic. It's not the business plan. I mean, one can say that is part of the business plan,
Sure.
but most e-commerce founders, what I've learned, don't have the business plan first, right? They fell into something. Like that's generally how it ends up working. But it's like, if your product can be, one, the quality is amazing, right? And when I say quality is amazing, I also mean it does what it says it's going to do. Like it accomplishes the need, want, whatever.
Yeah.
And then two, it is interesting to a specific niche group of people. Like then you can win.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it doesn't matter what your marketing strategy is. You're going to win because they're going to get on Reddit, right, and say these are dope. Go buy them.
I have kind of a formula. You're hinting at a formula that I talk a lot about. One is like if you want to win, like I feel like I could replicate this in any industry and win. It is a unique, differentiated product coupled with incredible customer service. I'm talking like treat them like family, your team and your customers. And then time, patience to let the word spread.
Yeah.
Like if you do those three things, it will be successful.
Yeah.
Like I really believe that. I mean, as I think about what's next, like I'm thinking about unique, differentiated product.
Yeah.
Treating people like, I mean, dude, you have access to your customers. There is a proximity to all of your customers that has never existed right now.
Yeah.
Like I call my customers, I can text them, I can take a package to their doorstep, I can meet them for lunch. Like, dude, if you have a problem in your business, go to your customers. They will like right now it's like, okay, get in the conference room. We need to talk about this problem. It's like, no, Nick Crump doesn't know the answer.
Yeah.
But like all of my customers do.
Sure.
And I can just meet them.
Yeah.
I can text them. I could group chat them. Like that for me, that's like, you know, you kind of hinted at or in a text message, you were like, hey, what's like the biggest problem you see?
Yeah.
Brand, like the biggest mistake.
Yeah.
For me, it is, we were masters of communicating with our customers.
Yeah.
They had a hand. They were the most important employee. You know, you think about like Seattle football, like the 12th man. Like our 12th man was our customers. They were the best employee we ever had. They gave us all the answers. And right now there are so many tools and there is an intimate relationship you can have with all of them.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you have a problem, call your customers, ask them. Like I have delivered packages in my truck. If I ever saw an order come through in Utah, it's like, I'm delivering it. I'm going to go take it to him.
Yeah.
I'm going to, ask him questions. I'm taking him to lunch, have focus groups meet up, say, hey, post on LinkedIn or whatever. Like, hey guys, I'm going to meet up at Red Fuego in Lehi at 12:30. Come meet up. I'll buy you lunch. Like, let's chat. Like people rack their brains and have meetings and spend so much time and hire consultants. It's like the answers are with your customers.
Yeah.
And I think that so many times people look to other sources for answers.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, dude, the customers always have the answer.
Yeah.
And you just have to ask.
As you started making the shift of doing stuff that you liked and you started talking with your customers, how were you able to identify like the emotional connection that they were feeling to your products? Right? Because I think sometimes it's hard with biases and, personal opinions, because a lot of times like, oh, they don't know what they want or they don't know what they're talking about. How are you able to talk with these guys that wanted a different kind of shoe and you're like, that's it. Like, I need to make that shoe for these people, or I need to provide them with a few more samples of this design. Because this is when you started coming out with like those more unique patterns,
Crazy
right?
stuff,
Like the fabric
Crazy
patterns.
Yeah.
I mean, so you made this huge jump.
Yeah.
What made you, like, how did they give you that feedback? How did you actually dive down into getting even crazier?
I mean, we did like...
Because clearly that's a very underserved market.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure they felt some crazy brand loyalty to you when you started providing it.
We used social media heavily to gather feedback. Like the polling feature in Instagram stories, like massive for us.
Sure.
We'd send out emails, surveys. I also think though, like...
But what if your competitors see?
Yeah. It's like, dude, it's all execution. Doesn't matter.
Everyone always says that.
Yeah.
We can't ask what colors they like.
Yeah,
Our
it's like,
competitors.
I remember being that guy saying that.
Yeah,
before, to be honest with you.
I've thought that. It's like, man, what if like Thursday Boots sees this? It's like, dude, we're different worlds and it's okay. I also do think though, not to like undermine your question, but like, I think it's okay. One thing that I've realized is like, I talked early and often about mental health on social media as a shoe business.
Mm-hmm.
I felt early on that like, okay, if we're going to have 500,000 people watching what I do, then I need to make this about more than just shoes.
Yeah.
So we've tried to tell the story of like, be your bold, and like these like taglines around like shoes and like wear confidence and stuff like that. It's like, okay, sure, maybe that's what the emotional connection people are having to the shoes.
Yeah.
But like they're actually just shoes.
Yeah.
And it's okay for a product to just serve a very specific unemotional function.
Sure.
Or even if the emotion is just simply they like the style.
Totally. It's like, hey, I just like them. I don't
They don't
like
have to stand for it. They don't. Yeah.
yeah,
stand
like
for it,
and so I feel like we tried to go there lots of times with like let's hire agencies and let's think through like what's our mission as a shoe company. It's like, well, we're a shoe company.
yeah.
And we had to be okay with that we're just like, hey, we make shoes. Let's remember that we just make shoes. Okay. There's way more important things. And that's where mental health, that's why I could, I had people like, investors even question like, dude, you can't go on freaking social media talking about like suicide when you're trying to sell shoes. Like that's a huge turnoff. That's going to hurt the business, and it's like, well, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't matter. And so I think that the emotional connection people had to the business, to be honest, was a lot of it was to me as the founder. I mean, as I've stepped away, that's the message I'm hearing. Customers are like, dude, man, you're a big loss because you're the whole reason I like your company.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like brands are always digging deep for like to try to harvest some sort of like really emotional connection to a watch. And they come up with something like own your time or like, whatever it is like, and it's like, dude, you make a watch. Like it's it's a function. It's just a function and it's okay.
Yeah.
But like, if you can find ways to like be more than just a watch company, which is what Taft kind of did. And I think that Taft's revenues, we were never a big business, but people thought we were.
Yeah.
We punched way above our weight in terms of influence on footwear and also influence on social media. It's like we can do things that no other shoe brand can do because we talk openly and transparently and like a family. And it really worked,
But that's a double-edged sword, though, right?
For sure.
Because when your founder,
for sure, it's super risky.
Well, what I mean more is like it's a double-edged sword for the founder because we see a lot of companies, they want to hit this kind of escape velocity from depending on a person like the founder.
On the face of the company.
Dude, I've been prepping for that for years.
Like everyone's like, I can't, like all the pressure.
Yeah.
So,
because how do you ever sell the business if it's so dependent on a single individual?
Or is it necessary to sell a business?
I mean,
you're someone who's done it. Is it the right move? It might have been the right move for you.
Yeah.
But is it always the right move? Like, is the goal of the business to always sell it? Or is the goal of the business to provide a good life?
I think that
it could be one or the other.
I think our generation,
and it could be synonymous too.
And I'm not saying there's a right choice here. I think it's individual based.
I think our generation is sell. But we see this generation of like 60-year-olds that have HVAC and plumbing and electrical companies that are like, no, it's like Taft and Sons, and I will do this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
The problem for me with that was I don't really care that much about shoes. Like, I stumbled into this.
Yeah.
It's not my passion, and my passions didn't align with what I was doing necessarily. I mean, some of it, of course, community, family, friends, like, of course. But like, there was no way I was going to do Taft for my whole life.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Well, it also sounded like some of the things you said were like entrepreneurship was never on your radar.
No.
And if entrepreneurship is not on your radar and you become an entrepreneur, like that is I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. That's an amazing opportunity and accomplishment, but also can be a massive gut punch every single day.
Totally.
Because of I am somebody personally who luckily I don't deal with anxiety very much. However, entrepreneurship was never on my radar. Like I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. And then I became one because of some things that happened in my life that made me say, this is the route I have to go down. But like
I just dragged you into it, really.
but like I've since become a more anxious person since becoming an entrepreneur. It's the only thing that's ever given me anxiety in my life.
Wow.
You know, because of what you said. It's like, I don't know where my next paycheck's coming from. Some months I might have to give up more money.
Right.
You know,
Right.
And then when you hire somebody, that brings a whole new level of anxiety. When you start to open up a retail store, that you know what I mean. It's like every decision you make is a level of anxiety. So it sounds like that's probably another thing. Like you were just like, when you don't want to be like when you didn't want to be an entrepreneur necessarily, then my guess is a lot of times the goal is to sell it. Like if you had something that strikes.
Yeah. Like I think about the Wordle guy. You guys know Wordle, right?
Yeah.
Like the Wordle founder, like he created this game that he liked for himself. And all of a sudden within like a couple weeks, I mean, that guy was never going to do Wordle forever, right? And that's a more clear example where it's like, he's just going to sell it to New York Times and, make $7 million.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, it's interesting because
What was the other game where the guy just shut it down? Because he's like,
Flappy Wings, dude. Flappy Wings, the Vietnamese developer that made this game, and
he's
it was
like,
like,
this is too sad. I hate it. Like,
Yeah,
I don't like what
it's too
people
crazy.
are. Like, I'm done.
I didn't hear about
And he
that.
just
was
shut
a
it down.
great game though.
Flappy Wings.
But like as we're talking, like I am actively pursuing entrepreneurship again.
Yeah.
So
But here's the thing though, what it sounds like though is
But it's different. It's different pursuing it now after you've had an
Totally.
exit, right?
Well, not only that, but now like you're going into probably something you're going to be a little more passionate about.
Totally.
Right? Like that's going to be probably a checklist
The gauge
item.
for what I will pursue.
Yeah.
I mean, the filters are stringent.
Totally.
And numerous, right? Like I will not just jump into socks because it made sense and
Right.
shoes because it happened to me.
Yeah.
It's like now my gauges and my calibration for what I'm going to do next, there's a lot of filters to make sure that it's something that I can
hit your
I can
values and what you hope and expect in life. So what you sold, I know, I want to get to a couple questions because I put out like so on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and then I have like a broadcast channel that I've got a few hundred people that like are in my Insta. Like I just said, hey, like I'm having Kory, founder of Taft on. I shouldn't say that I was surprised. I'm actually surprised with how many people ask questions. Like an insane amount of people.
Dude, that's that's cool because I like
an insane amount of people.
I'm like pretty shy and I don't leave my house a lot.
so I want to get to that, but before what I would love to know, and I think what a lot of other people would like to know, when did you sell Taft?
I sold July 13th, 2022.
Okay. Do you remember what your guys' revenue was right around when you were selling? Ballpark?
So 1.7, 5.7, 10.8, 14.4. I think 15.2 COVID, dude. COVID ruined everything. I would say probably around, and people will be surprised, but probably around 15.
Sweet. Awesome.
Which is
Spain got hit pretty hard with COVID too, didn't they?
dude.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we had
What happened with your manufacturing?
Oh, dude,
I'm sure
it was really rough. They had, so normally it's like you get to the factory at 7 a.m. You have breaks in between 2 to 4 o'clock. You go home. 4 to 7. Yeah. Una siestita. 4 to 7 p.m. You come back and you finish the day.
Yeah.
The way it worked during COVID in the factory was they split into 2 teams so that half the number of people in the factory and you could only work half the day. And so it was essentially like a limitation on capacity.
Yeah.
And so we couldn't make any shoes.
Yeah.
And so COVID, it's interesting because COVID was really tough in the moment, but we really felt the effects of COVID in 2022.
Oh, I'm sure. Kind of like
A delay. And
Actually, most brands we've talked with, it's very similar.
Yeah,
story.
we
similar
during
stories.
COVID, we kept everyone on. We didn't fire a single person. All of our store employees just sat at home watching Netflix on their normal pay. Like we treated everyone how you should. And coming out of COVID, we're like, we made it. We survived. And there was this real lag for us to feel the pain of COVID until, late 2021,
Yeah, gut
2022.
punches for a couple years. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Cool. All right, should we get to some questions? Or did you have any other questions?
No, I was going to ask the one question that someone asked.
Oh, ask
Probably
it.
the most important one on there.
Ask it.
Ooh.
I think it was who's your favorite player at Liverpool?
Oh my gosh. Who asked that question?
Let's see here.
Ugh.
Oh,
Is it Tavis Johnson?
yeah. Tavis_Johnson.
Tavis_Johnson, one of my best friends. I really dislike Liverpool. My favorite player would be Salah, though.
Did you watch Beckham?
The documentary?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not a question.
So you're a big Premier League fan.
Oh, I'm obsessed with sports. I don't miss anything.
Yeah.
Like if it's cricket in India, my senior capstone was cricket in India. Like if it's rugby, like I am aware of all of it.
Yeah.
But Premier League is my
passion.
The Dodgers, but my biggest passion is Premier League.
Yeah.
But my biggest passion within the Premier League is Manchester City. I am beyond obsessed.
Yeah.
Okay. Was Holland ripped off
For what?
for not winning the...
Oh, Ballon d'Or. Yes, absolutely. It's like a treble winner. Like, dude, we don't need to get into it.
But Messi did win the World Cup.
Yeah, sure. It's like, whatever. But so the documentary, I've watched one episode with my wife, and the whole time, like, my blood is boiling.
Really?
Because it's like Gary Neville, freaking David Beckham, Sir Alex Ferguson, all these people I have a natural distaste for.
Sure.
And so it's like I'm trying to appreciate it for face value and just
basically
watch
just Man
it.
U.
But it's like all my least favorite people in one documentary. And so I'm trying to partition like my own heart and my passion for Man City and just like enjoy it like I would any other piece of film, but I can't.
Yeah.
So I'm one episode in and I just
that.
I can't watch it.
All right, let's go with this one here. What would you consider your greatest accomplishment at Taft?
My greatest accomplishment was building a team that loved each other, that felt like friends and family. So many people love to like make fun of the idea of like a team being a family.
Yeah.
You see it in our state. It's like, sure. And then you lay them all off.
Lay them off, yeah.
We built, and after I sold, I realized just how special what we had was, because I was suddenly injected into a new environment. I was like, oh, actually what we had was really great.
Yeah.
So I think the team and the attracting the type of people, but then also one of the things I'm most proud of, which is not the same question, but one of the things I'm most proud of is during COVID, we kept everyone on, regardless of their position, everyone full pay, full benefits, whether they were sitting at home for 6 months or not.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things that, sure, was I discouraged by some investors from doing that? Of course. Was it the best business decision? Not necessarily.
Right.
But for me in my heart, I will always be proud of that.
Awesome. How many employees did you have when you left? Like when you guys sold? How big was your team?
Like 40.
Sweet.
Mid 40s, yeah.
You don't have to answer this one.
I'll try.
Will task quality remain the same after you step down?
Who asked that? I probably don't know.
Joe Mama.
Joe Mama with the dagger.
Joe Mama.
There's a lot of underscores between Joe and Mama.
Yeah.
Joe _ there's 3 of them.
I cannot guarantee that.
Yeah.
I have no say anymore, but I do know that the current factory makes amazing shoes and we have contracts with them that will not change that. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
How's your mental health doing?
Horribly.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I lost my son last year.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's always been horrible, but coupling depression and anxiety with grief is a recipe that I was not prepared for.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not doing great. Yeah. But I'm trying.
Sure. Sounds like it.
I'm really trying. Yeah. I'm
sounds
trying
like it.
with all my heart.
This is a good one. Added him to Call of Duty 2 years ago and he never dropped in with me. Where's the nerve?
Who is this? Who is it?
Ryan Petrel.
Oh yes, dude. Okay. Yeah. So I have my friend Bronson Kafusi. He gave me an Xbox and I've never played video games in my life.
Yeah.
And so I really I got really into Twitch, watching Twitch streamers. And so, yeah, Call of Duty, I was like super into it. I loved it. I'm so bad.
Yeah.
So Ryan, it's not you. It is literally my skills. And like, I couldn't even play with people.
Yeah.
It's like you drop in, you wait in this lobby, you drop in, you parachute for 90 seconds, and then I get killed immediately. And so I'm like, this isn't fun. So I don't like it, but.
A ton of people ask, like, any thoughts on what your next business is going to be? And if you can't, what can you give?
Lots of thoughts. Yeah, lots of thoughts. Nothing public yet. And it's not like a competitor's going to see it kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm still trying to figure it out, but good things are happening.
Thinking e-com still? D2C?
Kind of. There's like 3 or 4 things that I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is freaking good.
Yeah.
And so nothing yet. I mean, I'd love to plug it, but like have me on in 6 months and I'll plug it.
Done.
But right now I don't know.
We have a question for you, and we probably only have to stitch it back. So, if you don't want to go there, don't. But you said you lost your son.
Yeah.
Is this was that infant?
Yeah.
I don't know this story.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to tell it.
You don't have to go into detail.
No, it's okay.
The main question I want to ask is like, what's your advice for grieving parents?
So no one's asked why I sold necessarily. I sold because I lost my son and I couldn't.
There were several of those.
Really? Yeah.
I was going to get to it. Yeah.
I mean, sorry.
No, you're good.
It's like I lost my son in June and I sold my business in July. So it's like, I mean, that's kind of tells the story, right?
Sure.
It's like, yeah. Things at the business were difficult. And there were other ways I could have gone about it and kind of solved it. A lot of it would have involved firing lots of people. And I didn't feel like that was authentic to the brand. Even if it meant the survival of the brand as I knew it, I felt like it would be very hypocritical to fire these people that I love in an effort to save the business from selling it.
Sure.
And so that was one route. We had other financing routes that didn't quite feel right. And in my heart, I was just done.
Yeah.
Like when you lose a child, like imagine trying to sell shoes after that. It's crazy difficult, right? It just felt so silly when my heart and my mind are buying a grave plot for my son.
Dude, totally.
And putting on a funeral. And it's like, this customer scratched his leather shoes. What should we do? Kory, like, what would you recommend? I'm like, what would I recommend? I'm thinking about my son's funeral. Right. Or I'm thinking about how to help my children understand why their brother isn't home anymore. And so advice for grieving parents. I feel it's the same way I feel about mental health. It's like I am very advocating of mental health, talking about it, trying to share what I've learned while also suffering from it myself, right? Like I think that typically it's like if you were to get on LinkedIn and start talking about cancer and how to deal with cancer, you would expect that person had beat cancer.
Yeah.
And so I feel like a little bit silly. Mental health is like my platform and it's what I'm passionate about. And I know so much about it. Mm-hmm. And yet it's not helping me that much. Right. And I'm on this relentless pursuit to get better. And I'm pursuing everything and I'm spending all the money I have on these crazy things, but I'm not better. And so for grieving parents, advice, I am in the thick of it. Like I've learned some things, but I don't necessarily feel like I can confidently say like, grieving parents, here's what you should do because it helped me. It's like I am the worst I've ever been.
I guess maybe instead of what's your advice, what would you want to say to other grieving parents?
Oh, man.
What do you wish people said to you?
I hate I think in our state and in our kind of predominant religious beliefs, there's this feeling of like, oh, well, he's in a better place.
Yeah.
Or you'll see him again. It's like, I don't want to see him again. I want him in my arms. And so there's just a lot of like people in their own pain and in their own desire to help and comfort. They're saying things that are like, oh, you don't get it. But then there's people that grieve, and there's this understanding of like, I know I've known what the word grief means, right?
Yeah.
Obviously by definition, but I could never have been prepared for how it feels. And so I love when people are just like, hey, I'm so sorry. And that's for me.
Yeah.
That's like the most powerful thing. Cause it's like, hey, I don't really want to hear your comfort. Cause you just can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think when people are simple and just like, hey, I'm so sorry. If there's anything I can help with. I also think that as someone that's around someone that's grieving, I think like, hey, can I bring you dinner? Like, no, just bring them dinner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I will never ask.
Because you're going to say no.
I will never ask for anything.
Yeah.
Right. And grieving people are not thinking straight, and they're not going to ask, and they don't want to think, oh, let me spread my grief around and burden this person with needing to prepare dinner. But oh my gosh, dude, when someone like proactively does something, hey, dude, I got these tickets for you and your family. Like if you can muster up the strength to get out of the house, use them.
Yeah.
Or dude, hey, I dropped something off on your porch. Like if you can, don't ask, right? If you're going to do something kind, don't ask. If you're willing to do it, just do it. And dude, I mean, those people, like there are people that over the last year and a half since my son passed away, like they will mean so much to me for the rest of my life. And it's people that the people that have been best are not people you'd expect necessarily. Like it's these unexpected people that just make me feel better. Yeah. It's the people that are like, dude, like, I mean, that keychain that your brother gave me, and obviously he understands it more than other people do, but like that keychain, he didn't ask like, hey, can I get you a keychain? It's like, dude, he showed up with my son's initials engraved on this keychain. Yeah. And people that just proactively do it, oh my gosh, it's no one's going to ask for it. No one's going to say yes. Like, dude, I mean, the same way you got me this soda, it's like, oh dude, no, don't worry about it. Save the $3. You freaking bring it, dude. Like, it's just that proactivity that changes lives. And it means so much when you're in that horrible place.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that's really beautifully said. Like my parents lost a child because there's 4 boys and it was the only girl that they lost. And so it's been interesting as you get older and have kids to understand like, oh geez, man, like my parents were going through something when I was 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Like I like, you cannot comprehend it until you get to a certain point.
Mm-hmm. Probably until you experience it, right?
And even knowing that with my own family, it's like, I have no idea like how hard, like you can kind of imagine it. Like as a dad now, it's weird because like I'm not a super emotional person, but like I'll be sitting through movies now and just be like,
it's like, yo, dude, like Finding Nemo. You're like, oh, Bambi. You're like,
dude, like there's these moments.
The
in
Good
movies
Dinosaur. I'm like, dude, why'd you make this movie? It's so heavy.
Yeah, seriously though.
I think one other thing that's been helpful for me to realize is like, I'm 34. Like at a certain age, and we're probably pretty close, but at a certain age, like everyone has gone through insanely hard times. Mm-hmm. And I think I didn't realize that, right? Like I think it's easy for us to like, oh, that old guy in your neighborhood, he's so weird or, whatever. It's like, dude, that guy's been through so much loss, so much grief, so many health issues. Like, and we're at the point where like the grief is starting to become a common denominator amongst all of us. Yeah. And just remembering that and has been helpful for me.
Yeah. What I love is the simplicity comment, right? Because like I think we're just as humans, we're so inclined in everything we do.
You just want to solve it.
Overcomplicate and to solve it, And
or push it off.
Yeah. Sweep it under the rug or whatever. Yeah. But I think there's just
like to try to downplay it all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like you'll get better, or whatever. But like, I think
it's too painful for me to even imagine. So I'm going to project like how I soothe myself onto you. Like, oh no, it'll be okay. It's like,
Yeah.
For you, sure. But like, you know,
And like eventually maybe, right? But like right now.
Yeah. And eventually, no, not for me.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, I am forever ruined in a certain way.
Sure.
And it's weird because like the pain, I almost don't want it to get better because I feel like in my discomfort and my pain, I'm kind of honoring his life and his sacrifice and or something, you know, like I feel like there's this, you want to stay close to it. You don't want to give it up because then it's like you're moving on.
Yeah.
Or you're not doing him justice. You're not telling his story, you know? And it's like, so there's all these complex things going on. But like, I think just like the simple love and the simple acts of service without needing permission to do it have just meant so much. I mean, I am like so lucky. Thinking about business, Taft was lucky.
Yeah.
But I'm even luckier.
Yeah.
Just the people we live around, the state we have, the network, the community. Like we are so fortunate to be here.
There's two books that I want to mention that I think everyone should read. The first, it's called Grumpy Monkey.
I know Grumpy Monkey.
Do you know Grumpy Monkey?
I don't know Grumpy Monkey.
It's great.
It's a great book. I read it with my 3-year-old every
The
night.
art's amazing too.
Yeah, the art is amazing.
Yeah.
My 3-year-old's a very grumpy child. He's a lot. Like he's a lot. But at night we read Grumpy Monkey, and it's basically a story about a monkey who wakes up and he's grumpy, and everyone's trying to like tell him to enjoy the day.
Yeah.
But at the end, his friend finally is like, you know what? It's okay. Like it is a good day to be grumpy.
Yeah.
Where everyone else is like, you should go do this. Like, here's how you fix it.
Yeah.
And like he's just mad the whole day.
It's like, dude, it's okay to be grumpy.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay to be sad.
And at the end, it's just like how to sit with someone in their feelings, right? And how it's like, oh, now
Dude, that's a good shout, man. We have that book. I don't read it as often as I should, though.
Grumpy
like,
Monkey.
I do feel like, I feel better now. Like I'm feeling a little better now that someone finally is like, yeah, you know what? It's a good day to be grumpy.
Like giving you permission.
Just
because you like
feel how you feel.
Like it's negative to be sad. There's something wrong with you if you're sad.
Right.
There's something
It's
wrong
like
with you if
it's an
there's
emotion
something
to
wrong
be
with you if you're
fixed.
angry.
Like happy, you don't fix happy.
Yeah.
But sad, you need to fix it.
'Cause you need
it's
to
like,
be happy.
Well, no, you could just feel it and let it kind of process and pass.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then
for
the other
sure.
book is a young adult book called A Monster Calls. There's also a movie. Both the book and the movie will wreck you, but it's about feeling guilt when trying to get over grief. It's about a child going through something, a kid.
Monster Calls.
I think I haven't seen it, but I think I've seen the preview for the movie.
The book's amazing. The artwork's incredible. It's a young adult book, but it's like a graphic novel almost. But I wouldn't. It's not like comic at all. It's like when I say graphic, it's just there's a lot of artwork in it.
Imagery.
And the movie is incredible too. But yeah, it's if you're going through anything, if you want to feel something, or if you just want to like get a good understanding of what someone else might be going through, I think that book's incredible.
Monster Calls. Nice. Yeah, I haven't heard of that book.
And then the last thing I was going to say is my wife and I, funny enough, we were talking a lot about how tragedy and grief and suffering, because it's like a world without these things, what would a world be like without these things? Because when you look upon the best, when I say best, but the most influential and touching and moving art and music, a lot of it, almost all of it was inspired by someone someone who was suffering. Right. And if you want to get religious, right, like the religious texts, it's usually people who were suffering pretty dramatically that produced the kind of teachings that people rely on for hope and faith and whatever. So yeah, I think thinking about that, you know, there's a story about that I shared a while ago about that guy Rembrandt, that guy, you know, and how
he's got that extra D in his last name.
Yes, he does. Well, he was going through grief. He lost his wife at the time, and he had a very difficult life. Very difficult, but his artwork has inspired millions of people throughout all of this time. But he went through a lot. So, you know, I know it doesn't give you, and I'm not trying to comfort you in this moment, but I know that you will be able to provide that kind of light for other people.
Yeah.
Right? Whatever you're going through will eventually help you also give other people some kind of inspiration or hope, indirectly or directly.
Yeah, I'm really trying. I'm actually really trying to proactively like do that in some. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I actually think a lot about that because it's like, as I've stepped away from Taft, most people talk about not shoes. It's like the mental health, it's the grief, it's the therapy, it's the, you know, and it's been amazing to see all the people that are coming out and like, they don't care about the shoes. It's like they care about the real life stuff.
Sure.
And so I'm trying to, I'm not necessarily for like what I do next, but like I'm trying to make sure I keep that up because I think that if we can turn that into something that can help others, then freaking awesome.
Well, dude, I mean, like, listen, there was a reason why when I asked about questions about you that I do this about with everybody. A lot of times I'll say, hey, like what questions Mark and I will do it. Like, hey, we're just doing a solo podcast. What questions you have for us? And we get questions, but we've never got more questions than asking about you.
That's cool.
And a lot of that was around mental health. There were tons. I mean, it was just the same question over and over and over again, right? Like, so like you are making an impact. You can just see it with that. And I was even kind of just joking with my wife last night. I'm like, this fricker gets more questions than I get more questions when I ask, hey, what questions you have for us, you know? So we appreciate your vulnerability and we appreciate your willingness to come on the podcast. This has been an absolute
Dude, I feel like
pleasure.
I didn't provide much around like unstoppable marketing, but
you know what? We like,
Well, I'll hurry and tie it in.
What do you got?
We'll tie it up. Marketing is about connecting with people.
There you go.
And vulnerability is one way that you can access that connection with people. If you can open up in a personal way as a founder, as a business, or as a marketer, that's how you actually establish unique connections with people. And sometimes it can be as simple as we just sell something. Like we're not trying to be more than that. Yeah. And people can connect with that, right? Like they don't have to look at you for anything. Other times it can be more of a personal connection. Yeah. So I think the lesson here with Kory is just focus on connecting with people and remember that the numbers just represent people. They're not numbers. Like you're not doing business for numbers. You're doing business for people.
Yeah. Dude, I got a quick segue, dude. Here we go.
Please.
The key to being an unstoppable marketer.
Here we go.
Is being stoppable. In the moment, with the people, with the individual, with the one, with your team, with the customer. Stop. Embrace the little moments. Find the magic in very ordinary things. And that's how you can sell stuff. That's how you get lifetime value of customers up. That's how you get real connection. Talking about the emotional connection to a product or a brand. It's by being very stoppable. And it's stoppable in that it's like, I mean, you know what I mean? It's like just head up. Look at people, look them in the eyes, look at the names, not the number. You know, like I think that's what I've been good at. That's what Taft was good at. And
I love it.
That's a beautiful judo throw.
Yeah, it was. I think that's the place we stop.
That's great.
What do you think?
Yeah.
I like that.
It's kind of a joke, but
that's great.
Kind of works.
It is.
It's a little play on words.
It works perfectly.
Where can people find you, dude?
Kory Stevens on Instagram. Kory with a K, Kory.
Stevens with a V. Not
Stevens
a PH.
with a V. Yes. No silent D in there or anything like that. No German name. Just Kory with a K. Stevens with a V. Instagram. I don't really do much else.
I see you on LinkedIn though.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. My bad. LinkedIn for me. LinkedIn is more like work and not. Yeah. You know, I don't really like check my messages and stuff. But yeah, LinkedIn under the same name, and then. Yeah, we'll get new cool stuff coming. Q1 next year, I'll be launching kind of the next stuff. So be on the lookout for what I do next. Yeah.
Sweet. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you everybody for listening to us. Go follow Kory. Check out his journey. And maybe 6 months from now, we'll have to.
Dude, I'll be back with some cool.
Have him back on.
Yeah, be great.
Yeah. All right, everybody. We'll see you guys next Tuesday. See ya. Thank you so much for listening to the Unstoppable Marketer podcast. Please go rate and subscribe the podcast, whether it's good or bad. We want to hear from you because we always want to make this podcast better. If you want to get in touch with me or give me any direct feedback, please go follow me and get in touch with me. I am at the Trevor Crump on both Instagram and TikTok. Thank you, and we will see you next week.